The Federal and Vale Hospital jointly present the Madurai Marathon 2025. This event is co-presented by Walking Shoe Company and powered by PSNA College of Engineering and Technology and Tucker EV Chargers. Run for Bone and Joint Health on Sunday, December 21. Entry is free. All are welcome.
I'm Prasanna Mohanty. Today I will tell you about the SHANTI Bill, that is the bill which is in Parliament about nuclear energy plants. This bill has already been passed in Lok Sabha and probably will be passed in Rajya Sabha today. It makes two significant changes. One is it allows private operators to run nuclear plants in India and then fixes their liabilities. The liabilities in case of a nuclear disaster. Now this liability had already been fixed in 2010, but we'll come to that later. So about these two key elements, we don't know the extent of participation by private operator, whether it will be run entirely by them or in collaboration in PPP mode. We don't know that. The second is it fixes overall liability in case of a nuclear disaster and also for the operator, that is the private operator. The first thing to note is that such an important bill has not been put in public domain for debate. It has not gone through a parliamentary committee's scrutiny, and the debate that happened in Lok Sabha and will probably be happening now in Rajya Sabha are mere formalities. They make no difference because none of the suggestions are going to be incorporated. They will be passed as such. So that apart, coming to the liability part. Now the liability, maximum liability has been fixed at 300 million SDR. SDR is special drawing rights, and one SDR translates into about 1.36 US dollars, which means the 300 million SDR works out to be 410 million US dollar. That is about 4,000 crore in Indian rupee. There is another element to it, that is private operators liability. That has been fixed at maximum 3,000 crore, and that is for more than 3,600 megawatt power generating plant. Say for example an accident happens, maximum liability is fixed at about 4,000 crore, operators liability is about 3,000 crore. So who pays the rest? It's the government, that is central government pays, or we the taxpayer pay that compensation. That is one part. The second part is that there is a provision where the central government can take over in public interest a particular plant when a nuclear disaster happens. So in that case, the entire liability will be paid by the government of India, that is taxpayers, our taxpayers money will be paid for a nuclear disaster which kills fellow Indians, damages the environment. Now what is that public interest? All this can be done if the center notifies that we are taking over the liability in public interest. What is this public interest? We don't know, because that has not been defined in the law, this bill. Now if you compare with the past civil nuclear liability bill passed in 2010, now this 300 million USDR, the maximum limit, was fixed then also, but that was 15 years ago. If you at least allow inflation, it should have been much more. Now that 3,000 USD was ridiculously low. If you remember the Bhopal gas tragedy of 1984, in which a pesticide plant run by Union Carbide leaked out, the methyl isocyanate gas leaked out and 3 to 4,000 people died immediately and about 15,000 later. And several lakhs were maimed for life with neurological disorders, respiratory disorders. Now, in that case, the Union Carbide had paid 470 million US dollar. But in this bill, in a nuclear disaster, the maximum liability fixed is at 410 million USD. Particularly when the government is saying that this bill says the government can take over that liability in the name of public interest, but that public interest is not defined. It wasn't defined in the 2010 law either. Now, there is another important point, which is that in the 2010 bill act, the operator had the right to recourse, that is, it can demand compensation from nuclear equipment and material supplier. That clause, that provision has been removed from this bill, which means when we are going to have a new nuclear plant under this law, after this law comes into effect, the supplier of nuclear equipments and nuclear material will have no liability. The next big point to flag here is the cost of nuclear energy. To generate 1 megawatt of power, it costs about 15 to 16 crore. And this is Central Electricity Authority's assessment, not mine or not any private agencies. Compared to solar or wind or coal, which are much below 10 crore per unit, per megawatt. What happens is when the cost is, say, 5 or 7 times more for generating 1 megawatt of electricity, then the unit cost of that electricity also becomes that much costlier. So nuclear plants are very costly to establish. The power that it will generate will be very costly, and this is indefensible, particularly when we have already established about 52% of our installed electricity capacity is from green energy. Now, this nuclear energy, nuclear plants are being allowed in the name of raising green energy, that is, nuclear energy is green energy. But we already have 52% of green energy in the form of solar, nuclear, and very little, about 8.7 gigawatt of nuclear. Now, the problem is, of these 52% of installed capacity, actual electricity generated or utilized is only 24%. And that is because we do not have evacuation facilities, that is, transmission lines are not laid, distribution lines are not laid, and we don't have storage capacity because, as you know, solar, wind is only available in certain hours, but not in other hours when they need to be stored. So we have not been able to do this because we don't have enough money. Neither government has, nor the electricity boards of states have that kind of money, and it has been a major problem for many years. Now, if you don't have fund to evacuate, utilize such a huge capacity that we have installed, why are you going for even costlier nuclear energy, which is 4, 5, 10 times costlier? And where would we get that money to spend? I mean, we have known how we introduced PPPs to bring private money into infrastructure and other projects, but we know that these private projects are essentially funded by government and banks. That is, again, taxpayers' money or Indian people's money. You know, right from the beginning, all PPP projects are funded with 45% of what is called VGF, viability gap funding. That is an upfront 40% money given to private PPP player to start his project. And then we have had massive uh, uh, we have had this revelation that often banks give loans multiple times of the total project cost of these PPP mode projects, which means 40% comes from public fund and 2 to 3 times the project cost comes from banks, that is people's deposits. So actual money that gets spent on the project is all from not from the private investors money, but from either central government, that's taxpayers money, or the bank deposits, mostly public sector banks. So will this be a different for nuclear plants? We have had long history of PPP mode projects. They have cost far more than they they were earlier, and the money doesn't come from private investment, despite record-breaking profits in the past, specifically post-COVID. Private investment is not coming. It's very low, and despite high profits. So to expect that in for nuclear project is kind of hoping for the moon. So overall, it doesn't make sense why the government should be pushing ahead with such a critical bill with such deep ingrained flaws in such a hurry that it doesn't have time. It doesn't give time for public consultation or parliamentary scrutiny. So if the opposition is objecting, they have very valid reasons to object, but it's a fait accompli. It's going to come. It'll be passed, and some private players will come in with such low liability, which can be waived off by center at any point of time, saying that this is in public interest. And supplier of nuclear equipment and material, they don't have any liabilities at all.
The Federal and Vale Hospital jointly present the Madurai Marathon 2025. This event is co-presented by Walking Shoe Company and powered by PSNA College of Engineering and Technology and Tucker EV Chargers. Run for Bone and Joint Health on Sunday, December 21. Entry is free. All are welcome.